How do you tell the people you've loved for 40 years that they are strangers? How do you look at your eldest daughter, the one who gave you this gift out of pure love, and tell her that the DNA results didn't just show long-lost cousins, but a long-lost life? My late wife, Sarah, was my North Star. When she passed 3 years ago, I thought I had cried my last tear. I thought a man my age was beyond the reach of surprises. I was wrong. Last week, a simple birthday gift, a DNA kit, didn't just reveal my ancestry, it deleted my entire history. With one click of a mouse, I discovered that the 3 human beings I bled for, worked for, and loved for 4 decades share 0% of my blood. My life is a ghost story, and I am the ghost. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm sharing the heartbreaking reason why I'm taking this secret to my grave, and the one realization at 70 years old that saved my soul from burning my legacy to the ground. Emily, who is my daughter, brought over a beautifully wrapped box as a present on my 70th birthday. She's always been the sentimental one. "Dad," she said, her voice bubbling with that familiar excitement, "we've been talking most times about our origin, and we realized we don't know much about your side of the family before we moved here. This is an ancestry DNA kit I got as a present for you. It'll show us our heritage, our health markers, and maybe some long-lost cousins." I laughed it off. "I know who I am, Emily. I'm a stubborn old man from a line of stubborn old men." But to please her, I went through the motions. I spat into the tube, sealed the envelope, and sent it off. I didn't think about it again for weeks. I was too busy with my garden, my books, and the quiet routine of a widower. Then the email finally arrived. "Your results are ready." I sat at my desk, the afternoon sun casting long golden fingers across the mahogany. I clicked the link of the mail, expecting to see a pie chart of Northern European percentages. But as the page loaded, my eyes moved to the family matches section. My heart didn't just skip a beat, it felt like it hit a wall. There, at the top of the list, was Emily, but the text beneath her name didn't say daughter. It said, relationship, second cousin, or unrelated. DNA shared, 0%. I scrolled down, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I checked for Mark and Ben, and both 0%. The screen began to blur. I felt a coldness creeping up from my feet, a numbness that moved faster than any winter chill. According to the cold, hard science of genetic sequencing, the 3 human beings I had raised, sacrificed for as a father, the people I had bled for, worked for, and wept for, were not mine. I wasn't just a man who had lost his wife. I was a man who had lost his entire history in a single click of a mouse. My life was a ghost story, and I am the ghost. After the discovery, I walked through the rooms of my home like a trespasser. I went to the hallway where the growth chart was still penciled onto the pantry door. I touched the mark where Mark had reached 5 feet tall. I remembered the pride I felt that day, thinking, he's going to be taller than me. Now that pencil mark felt like a scar. I walked into the living room and stared at the mantel. There were the photos. Picture of Emily in her graduation gown. Picture of Ben hitting his first home run, and Mark holding his own son for the first time. I looked at their faces, searching for a trace of myself. I had spent 40 years imagining I saw my father's jawline in Mark, or my mother's eyes in Emily. Now I realized that the human mind is a master of deception. I saw what I wanted to see because the alternative was unthinkable. I began to wonder about the biological reality of the house. Who had actually sat at this table? Who were these people? The air felt thinner, as if the oxygen was rejecting me. I spent the next 3 days in a state of catatonic shock. I didn't eat, or I could barely sleep. I just sat in the dark alone, listening to the house creak. Every sound became a memory that hurt. I heard the phantom echoes of them running down the stairs on Christmas morning. I heard Sarah's voice calling them for dinner. Sarah, the woman I had worshipped, the woman I had trusted with my soul. Every time I thought of her name, a physical pain bloomed in my chest. She wasn't here to answer my questions. She had taken the truth to the cemetery, leaving me to rot in the ruins of the life she had constructed. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of stolen moments, wondering if a single second of my 40-year marriage had been real. Each day I got so angrier. Anger is a secondary emotion. It usually masks a deeper pain. But at 70, anger feels like the only thing keeping my heart beating. By the fourth day, the numbness vanished, replaced by a white-hot, incandescent rage. I went to the basement and found the old boxes of Sarah's things, the journals she kept, the letters we wrote back and forth when I was traveling for work. I tore through the old boxes like a madman, looking for a clue, a name, a confession. I wanted to find who the father of the 3 children is, the him. Who was he? Was it 1 man? 3? Was my entire marriage a calculated play act? I kept asking myself those questions. I screamed her name into the empty basement, a sound that tore at my throat. How could you, Sarah? I felt a violent urge to purge the house. I grabbed a trash bag and started throwing away her clothes, her books, the knitted blankets she had made for the kids. I wanted to erase her. I wanted to punish her for the silence she had left me with. I sat on the floor, surrounded by the debris of a dismantled life, and I realized the true cruelty of betrayal. It doesn't just ruin the future. It retroactively destroys the past. Every "I love you" she ever said now tasted like ash. Every time she held my hand when I was sick, I wondered if she was looking at me with pity instead of love. The anger was a fire that threatened to consume everything I had left. I was ready to call my children, to bring them over, to throw the DNA results in their faces and tell them to leave. I wanted them to feel the displacement I felt. I wanted to be the one to break their hearts the way mine had been shattered. I was halfway through dialing my daughter Emily's number when the doorbell rang. I ignored it. It rang again and again. Finally, I heard a small voice through the wood. "Grandpa, are you home? Mom said you might be napping, but I have a new dinosaur." It was Leo, Emily's 6-year-old son. My grandson. I opened the door, my face likely looking like a mask of death. Leo didn't notice. He was too busy showing me plastic triceratops. He pushed past me into the house, heading straight for the grandpa chair. He sat there, legs swinging, looking at me with a pure, uncomplicated devotion that made me want to vomit. "Grandpa, why is the house so dark?" he asked, tilting his head. I looked at him. I looked at his ears. They were shaped exactly like Emily's. I looked at the way he bit his lip when he was thinking, a habit Mark had since he was a toddler. I realized that if I followed through with my anger, if I exposed the truth, I wouldn't just be losing my children. I would be losing this boy. I would be telling this 6-year-old that the man he loved as his patriarch was a stranger. I sat down on the ottoman in front of him. My hands were shaking. Leo reached out and put his small, sticky hand on my knee. "Are you okay, Grandpa? Do you need a Band-Aid?" In that moment, the rage collided with a simple reality. This boy didn't care about the 23rd chromosome. He didn't know about the secret Sarah had kept. To him, he was the man who made the best pancakes and knew how to fix broken toys. He was safe. He was the anchor. If I chose the truth, I was choosing to destroy an innocent child's world just to satisfy my own wounded pride. Later, Leo's mother picked him up. I sat in the darkness once more. But the darkness felt different now. It was no longer a void. It was a space for reflection. I realized that I was standing at a crossroads, and there were 2 men inside me fighting for the steering wheel. I just realized I am now impersonating 2 people. The first David was the man of fact. He was a man of science, of justice, and of cold, hard reality. This David felt he had been robbed. He had spent his life's energy raising another man's seed. He felt that the children deserved to know they were frauds and that his wife's memory deserved to be tarnished. This David wanted to sell the house, take the money, and move to a coast where no one knew his name, leaving a trail of destruction behind him. The second David was the man of history. David remembered the night Emily was born, how he had stayed up for 36 hours, terrified he wouldn't know how to be a father, only to feel a rush of protective love the moment her tiny fingers curled around his thumb. This David remembered teaching Ben how to drive, the car jerking in the empty parking lot, both of them laughing until they cried. Which man was right? The man of fact had the data, but the man of history had the memories. I started to ask myself, what is a father? Is it the man who provides the biological blueprint, or is it the man who shows up? Is fatherhood a noun, a status you get from a lab, or is it a verb, something you do every single day for 40 years? The internal struggle was exhausting. I felt like my soul was being pulled apart by two teams of horses, one pulling toward the cold truth and the other